Hello, this is Marky2200 here and welcome back to my Need for Speed testing series, where today we'll be ranking all the rear-wheel drive supercars in Need for Speed Pro State from worst to best based on their speed capabilities. As usual, all the cars have been upgraded with stage 3 performance and handling packages, running manual gearbox, and all the cars have been tuned properly. Tunes for every car are in the description down below. With that said, let's see which of these cars is the worst for speed races, and then at number 9 we have the Porsche 911 GT2. It's quite funny that out of all the 911s, this is the slowest because on paper it should have been the fastest. But I mean, this car is an overall disappointment. Very low grip at the start, so traction control has to kick in very heavily, and it feels like it's the least powerful Porsche in this list. At number 8 we have the 911 GT3, which on paper is the slower version of the GT2, but it's clearly more powerful. Despite the fact that this has a speed limit of 386 km an hour, it's not terrible. At least it handles very nicely and it has a good gearbox. At number 7 we have the 911 GT3 RS, where the GT3 and GT2 achieved somewhere in the 119s. The GT3 RS did it a 115.93. So that's quite a major difference. Basically it's regular 911 GT3 with better handling and no speed limit. Well, no speed limit of 386 km an hour. And surprisingly at number 6 we have the Aston Martin DB-R9. I did not expect this from this car. It is extremely powerful, and don't forget this car cannot use NOS. I think if it could use NOS, it would have been a definite contender for the top 3. Coming at number 5 we have the Porsche Carrera GT, which did it in 115.15.2. Very minor difference compared to the DB-R9. Noticeable lack of power keeps it from being top tier, but it's still an amazing speed car nonetheless. What's quite funny actually, if you don't count the 911 GT3 and the GT2, the differences between number 7 to number 1 is about 2 seconds, which means that they're all very close to each other. Here at number 4 we have the Pagani Zonda F, which did it in 115.44. I mean, it does have slight problems with traction control and second gear, and that hinders it from being top tier, but that's mostly because the tires need to be reduced to stock in order to keep that top speed at 402 km an hour consistently. At number 3 we have the Ford GT, which is an absolute monster. I do have to say though that the suspension and tires need to be reduced to stock, and unlike the Pagani Zonda F, it doesn't really have a major impact on grip at low speeds when you're accelerating from the start. It does also need a very drastic tune, because otherwise you're just going to bump out at the banking, which is only really a major problem for the Autobahn ring, but still I would recommend that you use the suspension that I have in the description down below. Then at number 2 we have the Koenigsegg CCX, which is in 114.16, which is about a half a second increase from the Ford GT. Basically, it is more powerful than the Ford GT, but has even worse suspension. So this car needs an absolute drastic tune to prevent it from bottoming out. But it's obvious because at this rate of power, at this rate of speed, and this rate of downforce, it is obvious that the downforce becomes too much for a regular suspension tune to comprehend. But at number 1 we have the McLaren F1, which did it in 113.88. So it did not dominate as much as it did in the grip races, where it was like a couple of seconds faster or something like that. Here it's only about a couple of tenths faster, so yes, it is still number 1, but it's not as dominating as, well, in grip racing. Despite that, I would say that this is just a perfect car. Literally, it does not require a suspension tune. I mean, at keeping everything at 0, it does not bottom out, it handles very beautifully, the ride height is just perfect, no roll bars need to be changed because it doesn't understeer, it doesn't oversteer. The only real thing that you need to do is to maximize the engine tune and do a slight drivetrain tune. That's all it needs. It basically is perfect from the start. It can keep its top speed at 402, limited obviously, very nicely. Its NOS is extremely perfect, and I just genuinely cannot wait when we're going to test this thing with stage 4 parts. But that is something we're going to be doing very soon. After this video we're just going to be doing the rear wheel drive supercars on drift races, and after that we're going to be doing the main video that most of you have been waiting for a long time. All 76 cars ranked from worst to best based on the grab racing. But like I said, before that we're just going to be doing the rear wheel drive supercars on drift races. I'm not going to be expecting too much because most of these cars are not really suitable for drift races, but I'm going to be doing them anyway. For now, if you've liked this video, consider giving it a thumbs up. If you wish to stay updated on all my future videos, consider subscribing. Like I said, the next testing video will be all the rear wheel drive supercars ranked from worst to best based on the drift capabilities. Until then, this has been Marky2200. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you very soon. Take care.